G'day there guys, in your opinion, how many llamas is too many llamas? It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, have a bloody good time, chuck a like on this video, and enjoy today's bloody good content. Thank you. Posted by user Throwaway Sefdiff, titled, Am I the a-hole for pulling the "my husband is the CEO" card on a nurse? Sounds bad, but hear me out. My husband of a year is the CEO of a local hospital and has been for 17 years. His uncle was previously on the hospital's board of directors. I, 27 female, have a friend, 27 female, who suffers from lupus. It's been very hard because her family is across the country and her fiancé is deployed right now. The other day she was at a mutual's friend's, 28 male, house, and our mutual friend texted me saying our friend was feeling faint. I go over to the house and not long after, my friend started having chest pain. So our mutual friend helped her to his car and we drove her to the local hospital. When we get to the hospital, the nurses start doing whatever it was they were doing, and then start wheeling her away. I get stopped by a nurse when I try to follow her, and she said to let the medical staff do their thing. I leave with my other friend, but come back a couple of hours later when my friend texted me and said she's okay and she's just resting now. I go back to the hospital and make it past the initial crowd of nurses, some of whom I recognized at hospital events, and towards the direction where I knew my friend would be. I get stopped outside that general area by a nurse that I don't know, and she says, "Sorry, no visitors." I explain that I'm the closest thing to family for my friend, and that I had a responsibility to make sure she was okay, and that she's vulnerable right now, and I'm basically her medical advocate. The nurse cuts me off and says that she can't make an exception for me. This entire conversation started out pretty politely, but suddenly I find that both our voices are raised, and she says basically, "There's nothing you can say to convince me otherwise," and starts to walk away from me. I follow after her, and finally pull the "my husband is the CEO" card. She looks kind of shocked when I offer to call my husband. She starts doing something for a patient, and I get my husband on the phone, and he talks to the nurse, and I finally got an okay to be with my friend, as long as I leave by 6 p.m. The nurse looked extremely ruffled and kind of upset. I finally got to see my friend and comfort her, and left before 6 as promised. When my husband gets home, he says that at least I didn't insist he come down to meet me where I was, but that I should have just called him from the get-go, and that there were calmer ways to go about this. He also said he hoped my friend was okay, and he's happy to help. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, this just looks like a blatant abuse of power. I get that during normal times, it's fine for you to go visit people, but really that was a flagrant overstep by you here. Your husband is really downplaying the severity of the situation here. You were extremely rude by the looks of it to this nurse who was just doing her job. And this shouldn't be a "the rules are for thee, but not for me" kind of situation. But you turned it into that. Other people would love to be with their loved ones in the hospital right now, but obviously we can't do that. And here you are, flaunting your power and showing that you have privileges that other people don't have. That's really heartless during a time like now, and you really should take a hard look at yourself and feel ashamed of yourself. You're the a-hole. In the comments, Yuki Daviji says, "You're the a-hole. There's a pandemic, and tons of hospitals aren't allowing visitors. You pulled the card, 'I got this shiny ring from someone above you' on a nurse during a pandemic. A tired, hard-working nurse just doing her job to try to protect everyone. You abused power to violate pandemic protocols. Wow." Also, her husband has been the CEO for 17 years, and she's only 27 herself. So he was old enough to run the damn hospital when she was 10? Yuck. You're the a-hole, OP, for abusing your husband's authority, harassing a nurse, making more work during a pandemic. For shame. I wonder if part of the reason the nurse looked shocked was because she realized the CEO was married to a girl so many years younger than him. Yuck. Words that nurse wasn't expected to hear when she started her shift. My husband's the CEO of this hospital and has been since I was 10 years old. Oh. You're the a-hole massively. Just because your husband is the CEO doesn't mean that you should get preferential treatment. The poor nurse was only trying to do her job. You prefaced your story with "it sounds bad." That's because it is. 100% agree. OP mentioning that she recognized some nurse from functions is a dead giveaway that she expects others to recognize her special position. As such, they should part like the Red Sea for her. This poor nurse who didn't got put in place by her boss's boss for no good reason. You're the a-hole big time. And BeachLover8282 says, you're the a-hole. In general though, you sound horrible. What's the age gap between you and your husband? Be nice to people. It'll help when your husband leaves you for another young chick. You're the a-hole. You can't be basically her mental advocate. You either are by law or you aren't. The nurse had every right to stop you from interfering with her patient, and you pulled a major a-hole move by appealing to your husband. You described her as ruffled? I'm willing to bet terrified she's about to lose her job for doing her job is more accurate. You owe this woman an apology. Posted by user, throw account Am I the A-hole? Titled, Am I the A-hole for holding a text I read by snooping against my dad and stepmom for 6 years now? When I was 13, I was using my dad's phone, and I was dumb and very clearly wrong when I opened a text that popped up from my stepmom. She was a few months pregnant at the time. A few texts pop up that I saw my dad had sent a text saying, "Alice, my mum, is being a tramp again. I'm so glad that I get to have a baby with someone I actually love." To which my stepmom replied, "And I can't wait to have a kid without her awful genes mixed in." Which my dad found very funny based on his response. The reason I remember these texts so clearly is because I sent a copy of them to my mum. I knew my dad and mum hated each other, but I felt extremely insulted and betrayed by the texts because they directly involved me. I refused to stay at my dad's house ever since, and when my dad took my mum to court, I told the judge that I can't live with him anymore. My dad and stepmom spent a very long time apologizing. He does seem genuinely sorry because he has cried in front of me. But I can't really bring myself to forgive him. I also know I shouldn't have snooped, but I can't unsee those texts. Am I the a-hole? Sure, you shouldn't have snooped, but he shouldn't have been having conversations like this. It's clear he views you with disdain, and he shouldn't be viewing you with disdain and disgust and making jokes at your expense like that. Even if it is private, it's pretty unacceptable. There's a line with jokes like that, and obviously they were never meant to get public, they were never meant to come out like that, and you shouldn't have been snooping, but the reality is that you did, and you uncovered something that your dad never meant to get public. Something that's very disgusting at that. You had every right to go to court and testify and tell them you didn't want to live with him. You have every right to be disgusted in him and not want to live with him. What he did is horrendous, and it's hard to come back from that. I applaud you if you do ever manage to do that, but in this situation, I'm gonna have to go with a clear not the a-hole. I don't see how you snooping could ever be worse than that, and your snooping was justified, and it doesn't make you an a-hole for doing that. You were 13. Kids are kids. They look and they're curious. In the comments, Vort for Naught says, not the a-hole. You shouldn't have snooped, or forwarded on the messages, sure, but you were 13. Quote, and I can't wait to have a kid without her awful genes mixed in, end quote. Your stepmom insulted your mum and you, and rather than defend his child from such an ugly comment, he reacted with amusement. And edit to add, when I wrote this, I meant as a general snooping is bad, sharing snooped information is worse sense, but in this matter, where the sharing of the snooped messages was useful in sorting out the custody matter, it obviously was the right thing to do. And OP replies, "That's what made me more upset, to be honest. That they were insulting me too. And it was both my dad and stepmom, not just her." I completely get that, and I understand why that would have made you not want to stay with him anymore. You say he's apologized, but has he ever explained why he not only thought her comment was okay, but also why he thought it was funny? He said what they said was a big mistake and it was a bad joke, but it honestly ruined my feelings towards my dad. I no longer respect him as a parent. I don't even miss seeing him a lot less. My stepfather treats me like a daughter, and I'm okay with my family relationships as they are now. I would put money on it not being a joke to her. She might have framed it as one, but no decent person talks like that about their stepchild, and he should not have treated it as a joke. I'm glad you have a father figure who actually treats you the way you should treat a child. Also, there are currently a couple of other commenters saying that your snooping makes you most at fault, and you should get over what you read. Ignore them. You're not hurt because you read the texts, you're hurt by the content of those texts. And the adults who are meant to love you and care for you should not have said those hurtful things. You shouldn't have snooped, but what they said shouldn't have been there to find. She essentially declared her unborn baby superior to the OP by virtue of not having the OP's mother's awful genes. And the OP's father laughed it off rather than defending his child and making it clear that there would be no playing favorites. And honestly, what 13-year-old wouldn't snoop? That's pretty much normal behavior. My kid is 11, and I don't have anything on my phone that I wouldn't want my kid to see. If I did, I wouldn't let him use it. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. That's no way for a parent to talk about their child. As a mother, I would never indulge a partner at the expense of my child, even if I thought they'd never find out. That's inexcusable. For the record, you don't have crappy genes. You have a crappy stepmom. And with the whole someone I love so much, because presumably at one time they loved OP's mother so much. Just because a relationship goes sour doesn't mean you crap on your kids afterward. They're the innocents in it all. It's worse because have a child with someone I actually love is what he said, and that implies that when OP was born, he didn't love their mum. I don't know if that's what he meant, or if it meant he doesn't love her anymore, but I know how I'd read that at 13. Not the a-hole. He ruined his own relationship with you. It was a dick move for him to laugh. You were 13, and a little snooping can be excused. Don't feel bad about it. You learned how they really saw you, and got out of spending time with someone who also talks about you like that. You were 13. They were grown adults. They should have known better. It wouldn't hurt for you to ask him why he didn't defend you, why he allowed her to insult you, but you don't have to. Info. Did stepmom have anything to do with the divorce? And OP replies, "No, I don't think she caused the divorce. I actually thought she was a pretty decent person. It's kind of sad because her child, my half-sibling, passed away at 2 years old. But I don't think I should automatically pretend to be okay with everything because of a child's death." You don't have to pretend to be okay with it. More info. Were they immediately apologetic? Why did your dad take your mother to court for custody? Did the apologies increase after their child's death? Yeah, they apologized immediately. But I stopped going over to their house, and my dad took my mum to court to force me to visit. But I made my wishes clear, and the new custody schedule allowed me to see my dad a lot less at my grandparents' home instead. My dad has regularly tried to keep in touch over the years, but I don't doubt that my brother's death makes him feel worse about not having a good relationship with me. I feel pretty guilty about that. Posted by user GlitteringPost6600, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my husband and his family to suck it up when they complained about my daughter's wedding?" I won't complicate this. I have a daughter, Kara, who is not my biological daughter, nor was she my legal daughter until she reached the age of 18, when she asked me to adopt her as an adult. I married my husband when she was 14, and together we have 2 children. Kara gets along okay with my husband, But admittedly, her upbringing means she was maybe not as able to bond with a father figure as she was with a mother figure, and her age was also a factor. Regardless, everyone gets along, and I think that is the best you expect when you have someone who went through as much as she did at a young age. Kara is engaged, and came to me recently and told me she would like to walk with me down the aisle and do a dance with me while her fiancé dances with his mom. She told me she didn't know how to ask for that without hurting my husband. I also told her that he would understand, and I would be honored to do it. I didn't expect my husband and his parents to take offense, but they believed that she snubbed my husband and is making it seem like he's nothing. After listening to them complain about this for 10 minutes, I told them to suck it up and accept that she asked me, her mum, to do both of the parts of the wedding, and that I was proud to do it. I dared them to tell me I was less deserving than my husband. My husband and his parents believe I wasn't very understanding and downright rude, according to my mother-in-law. Am I the a-hole? So to clarify for people because I was not clear, my husband is not her father, he is her stepfather through me. I was married before, and she was my stepdaughter who I ended up with custody of, but never legally adopted as a minor because her biological mother was alive. She has trauma relating to father figures, 2 prior ones to be exact, so she has never really considered my husband as such, but their relationship has been good, considering everything she has been through. I did adopt her when she turned 18, not my husband, just me. I guess these people suck in this situation because they refuse to see all of this context and all of the reason as to why your daughter wants you to be the one doing these things at a wedding. Like, just because traditionally that's how weddings go and the father, quote-unquote, does these things at a wedding. She doesn't want that to be the case here, and they refuse to accept that reality. It's her wedding, and she can damn well do as she pleases. If she doesn't want him there, he shouldn't be there, and he should respect that, and the family should respect that. It's not you with the problem here, it's him and his family. There needs to be a big ol' sit down and a big ol' understanding of the rules and lay down the law now while you can. This behavior from them is frankly unacceptable, and I don't blame you for being pissed off at them. Gonna go with not the a-hole. Funky Orange Penguin says, not the a-hole. You're doing everything right, and I think it's lovely that she wanted you to walk her down the aisle. It's a testament to your relationship with her. It seems clear to me why she wouldn't want him. He doesn't behave as a parent, so why would he stand in as her father? Not the a-hole, and congratulations. So excited for you. Of course you're not. It's her wedding, there is no snubbing, she wants you, period. Agree with this 100%, and kudos to OP for standing their ground and putting her wishes first. I recently got married, and the amount of people that lose their minds over tradition is crazy, and is soured moments that should have been special. Tradition is just bullcrap peer pressure from previous generations anyway. OP is definitely not the a-hole. I never thought of tradition this way. This is a brilliant line. I'll end up using it for sure. I have no awards, so please have a pizza. Pizza. Not the a-hole. This isn't the 1700s. You can have whoever you want, if anyone at all, walking you down the aisle. He's not her father, so why the hell did they all expect him to walk her down? Her day, her choice, case closed. They expected because he's a manly man, and getting overlooked for what is typically a man role is enough to send his ego tumbling down. Especially when the role is given to a woman. A woman? Oh no, not giving a stereotypically male job to a woman. Spanish soap opera gasp? Ay. And people call women sensitive. Couldn't help myself, Lamau. Not the a-hole. Next time they bitch and moan, call them out by asking sincerely, why is what you want more important than the bride? Why do you deserve to have input in her wedding? What have you done for Kara that makes you feel so entitled to be miffed about this? The main thing to remember is they don't have any reason to be a part of this wedding, they are just guests. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.